and we are live. We're just getting right into it tonight because we ran a little bit late. Sorry, I had to cut my hair, and Spencer had to smoke a cigarette, and then we forgot to send links in a timely manner. Well, we typed out links and didn't send them properly. So, yeah, technical difficulties. And evidently, I can't speak tonight either. But we have Anthony Gambino here, and we have Julius Freeman in the house tonight to promote their book and just talk about stuff. I want to get to know them a little bit better because they're kind of just like incognito online, like, you know? So, all right. What made both of you, and you can answer this at different times because I have two of you on here, get into comics? When did you fall in love with comics? When did you know this is what you do?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose
Uh-oh.
Kayla?
I'm here.
There we go.
It's you with the arm. You're getting sucked up by God.
Oh my God.
But no, I was
Julius.
asking, did you hear me or do I need to repeat myself? Because
No, yeah, we got most of that question. You want me
Yeah.
to go first, or you want to go first?
Go ahead,
Anthony?
brother. You go.
For me, it was when I was 12 years old. I walked into my first comic book shop when I was 12, and all the colors and the wall and the superheroes and the books on the wall, the new releases on the wall, the bins, the smell of all like the paper, and the employees who were very nice and accommodating to a starry-eyed preteen. That was it. I was after that I was hooked. I was completely hooked because growing up as a kid, I watched, I was a big fan of the Superman films with Christopher Reeves, and of course Batman, Michael Keaton's Batman. So when I found out that they actually came from comic books, of course I was like, what's a comic book? I don't know what a comic book is. And when I learned that that's where they came from, that's when pretty much the floodgates open. And since then, I've been a lover of comics. But to answer the second part of your question as to when, what inspired me to want to write for comics, it probably had to be when I first read V for Vendetta by Alan Moore. That was the first time I was about, I think it was 19. I think it was 19 or 20. I can't remember how old I was. But that book for me was the one that really opened my eyes to, oh, wait, comics are more than just superheroes. They're more than just, you could do more with it than Spider-Man or spandex, what have you, or heroics. You could do something way different from it. It could be about this dystopian sci-fi, future, and the hero is this masked guy who's came from a concentration. It just blew my mind. And of course, the way Alan Moore and David Lloyd presented the story was just like, it just blew my mind. And after that, that's when I was like, okay, this is definitely something that I can definitely do as a writer. Express myself, not just through words, but working with artists to do what David Lloyd and Alan Moore did, which is, let's go outside the superhero genre and see what else we can do with this medium. And that's when it really, I guess to boil it down, it really showed me what you can do with the medium. And it made me appreciate the medium even more after reading V for Vendetta. So that's pretty much my little backstory.
I think that's interesting in the aspect. I think a lot of people think comic books are just about superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Many people. And then you find books like Private Eye or like V for Vendetta. Have you ever heard of Private Eye?
No, I haven't heard of that one, but that sounds interesting.
It's very interesting. I want to say, I think it was Brian K. Vaughan. Did Brian K. Vaughan write it? But it's basically about a world where everyone's identity is put out, so they have to wear disguises.
Oh, yes. I've read that one. Yes, that's right.
There are so many different books out there, and the genre is so wide.
Yeah.
I'm a big sword and sorcery person.
Well, there you
There's
go.
a lot of comics like that. But yes, I think just comics as a genre, people think superheroes. And I think it's also how the industry promotes it that way.
Right. Yeah. That's their bread and butter. That's what made them the money. That's what brought the people. That's what brought me into the shops, was seeing the poster of Batman or Superman, going, oh, what? That's Superman. That's Batman. Oh crap! And I walked in. But as I got older, and of course you start to see, the more you read comics from the mainstream, the more you start, and the older you get, the more you start to see, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of getting repetitious. They're revamping stuff again, and okay, all right. And then for me anyway, I can only speak for myself, but after a while, it got kind of tiresome, and that's why I started looking for the V for Vendettas. I started looking for like Ed Brubaker's crime noir, comics that were different from Image, and the small press stuff is when I really started to see like, oh, there's so much more here that I can find and consume and learn from them. So it was cool that it's cool that it's still thriving even to this day. You can still have the superhero genre, but you have other stuff like, for instance, our book, Vigilant Fury.
Yes, then that's a
Nice
book with a
segue.
message, I feel like.
Yeah.
There's a strong message with it. It's a very interesting and intriguing concept. So, what's up?
Did he just call you Rob Geronimo?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he did. They're doppelgangers.
They are. They are.
They definitely. You know what? I just think it's because they're Italian and they both are bald. That's it. I don't think they look anything alike at all. Their facial features are completely different.
I don't know.
How stereotypical. How dare you, Chad? How dare you?
We are.
But it's interesting because if I believe, I might not be correct on this, but I think I'm like 75% correct on this. To believe that comic books got started in an Australian women's magazine. Yeah, I read that someplace. I believe it was in a woman's magazine.
Really? What year was this? Did you?
I can't even remember. It was when they got printed. You have to look into it, or I can find the article at some point. But like I said, I'm like 75% sure.
That's fascinating.
It was something I read.
Was it like comics like we know it now, or was it like newspapers,
comic strips?
cartoons?
I want to say it was not comic strips. You know what? Now I'm gonna have to Google this.
Yeah,
I can't even believe this because I brought this up.
Yeah, that's
but it came
great.
to
I
my
know
mind.
comic strips have been around for a long time, but so you're talking about the actual comic book, like the actual size of the book and page by page of sequentials.
Yeah, it was in an Australian women's magazine, I want to say. Let's see. It was Australian comics have been published since 1908. It was the Australian's Woman's Mirror Phantom cover. It was the Phantom. It's in Wikipedia.
So it's definitely
and the earliest public, not really. But that's the first one that comes up. So it just says earliest publications. It says they've been published since 1908. Earliest publication 1921. History. Yeah, so it was. Yeah, there was a bunch of things, but one of them was an Australian women's magazine.
Wow, these covers are crazy.
They are crazy.
Oh, they're so nice.
These phantoms from the mirror.
What?
Yeah. And it says basically like so it was woman's mirror. Awesome. And there's also like I found right here. This is one of the ones. I'm gonna pull up my phone.
Like really excited.
Oh, they're cool, dude.
There's like so this was one of the ones that was in the woman's mirror here.
Sick.
There's an article right here. I think this says the Phantom comic strip made its first appearance in Australia on the 1st of September 1936, only 8 months so it was in newspapers first and then went into the Australian's Woman's Mirror on page 49, volume 12, number 41. We see a full page Phantom comic strip, the commencement of the Singh Brotherhood. So it could be just the Phantom I'm thinking of, but I know there was something I read about this and it was very important. So now I'm going to have to dig back into it. I guess I'm cutting deep on myself this evening. But now that I've distracted Anthony, you got to answer my question.
Hey, what's up? What was the question? How'd you get into comics?
How'd you get into comics? And
so I didn't really get into pursuing it until I was 20. Um, I started drawing when I was like 3 or 4 years old. My dad showed me his high school sketchbook for one of his art classes, and all like the different assignments he had. This would have been in the 70s.
So your
Um,
father was an artist. That's interesting.
well, he can draw.
Or
Like he
oh,
can
he
draw
just
really
can draw.
well. He actually was in the fashion industry for a long time, and now
Hmm.
he's a handyman and a home inspector. So he never pursued it or anything. He was just really good at it. And the assignments that he showed me were like, I think they gave him a photo of a horse, and he had to draw a horse because they're really difficult to draw.
They are
And then it
so
would,
difficult to draw.
yeah,
Really interesting.
yeah, very
Oh,
very difficult.
horses?
Yeah.
Wow,
Um,
that's interesting.
and then another assignment was like they gave him half of a face, and he had to draw the other half, like mirror it. So I just thought it was really cool, and I started drawing. But um, I grew up like in a smallish town, same kind of friends my whole life. Small Catholic school, like went to class with the same kids from preschool to 8th grade. So I like, if no one was into it around me, I wasn't really exposed to it. Um,
Okay.
and then in college, I went in for graphic design. Um, and then when about halfway through, when I was 20, I took an illustration course as an elective, and that's when like the professor like just everything blew me away. So he specialized in comics, but he was teaching an illustration class. So I think before I even fell in love with comics, I fell in love with
Interesting.
illustration and
Illustration.
storytelling.
Nice.
Um, and I remember, I think I have the piece somewhere.
Show it.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. But the first the first assignment we ever had was to pick one of the seven deadly sins and illustrate it on a big
Oh, nice.
illustration board, whatever medium you want. It just had to be on the board. And he gave us um, a bunch of History Channel documentaries. They did like, I think they were like 45 minutes on each sin. So really cool documentaries on each of them. And he he was, he said like, if like I can't make you do this, like I can't make you watch them, but watch them, do the research, and then pick a sin. So I watched all of them. I loved them. I thought it was really interesting, and I did the assignment, and I really loved it. And I think he thought in the beginning like I was just some like snotty graphic designer who is taking this class because it's an elective. But once he saw how
Mm.
into it I was and how much I enjoyed it, he pulled me aside and was like, "Listen, I'm not trying to push you or anything, but I get like one or two kids every year who I see something, and he's like, I think you can do this, and I think you should if you really want to. He's like, take the class, see how you like it, and like whatever you need, I'll help you. If you have any questions.
Oh, that's
Nice.
awesome.
It was incredible, and that was it. So I was already like halfway through with graphic design, um, and I know practically like it's a little bit easier to get jobs in that field. So I finished that up. I double majored. So I got 2 degrees in graphic design and illustration. Um, and that was it for a little while. I started working full time, and then I went back to grad school. I got my master's in illustration because I really want to teach too and be a professor. Because partially because of that professor who introduced me to everything. Like I want to be able to do that for people, and um, seeing like this group of really shy, timid kids not really knowing what to talk about, and then watching ourselves kind of like become professionals in a way to the point where the teachers can't get a word in during the critique. Like that was something really special to me. So I fell in love with that part of it. I really fell in love with storytelling first, and then once I was kind of like I was all in, the same professor like really started introducing me. He's like, okay, this is I see your work. I think you would like this person. Take a look at this book. Go read this comic. Like you seem to like all this dark stuff. Like read these people. So then I started getting more and more into comics. I mean, less than 10 years ago, really. Um, but yeah, so I'm kind of notorious in this little community for not having read a lot or seen a lot of movies, but I do have my favorites. I do have the things I gravitate towards. Um, and I'm kind of like along the same lines as Julius, where like it doesn't have to be superheroes. I would love to see more fantasy comics. I think Kayla, I think you might have
That's
actually posted about the Chimerian from Ablaze.
The
What
Sumerian. So
Sumerian?
the
Was that you?
Sumerian, yes,
Which is
and that
basically
is
Conan, right?
it is Conan. So they
Yeah,
got the
Conan.
rights. They're smart. They got the rights to do Conan by using the name the Sumerian.
That's
And
dope.
the Sumerian, Ablaze, it is all right. Marvel got their rights back for
Yeah,
Conan, and then they ended up losing them. I guess that's what I read recently. So I got the
didn't know
Marvel
that.
Conan because my dad loves Conan, and we wanted to
Sure.
read it, and it sucked. I'm just going to be straight up, and it's nothing against Marvel or anything, but when I read a Conan book, I want a certain kind of Conan book. And then they did
It's
Savage
course.
different.
Avengers, and
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? The What If? Like, there is a Conan book, and it's called like What If Conan was. It was basically if he was in modern times, and it was basically I felt like Marvel has ran out of so many ideas that they started taking what ifs that were these
Hmm.
concepts of things that would like what if it happened, and
Yeah.
Right.
made it into just took the what if and was like, oh, we're gonna make this a reality of a book, which it takes away from the beauty of what a what if is.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
And we weren't happy because it wasn't true to the Robert E. Howard work.
Mm.
Okay. You want to stay true to those stories because
Right.
he knew how to write fantasy. He did. And the Sumerian, it stays true to Robert
That's
E.
so dope.
Howard's work, and it's uncut
Nice.
and it's gory and it's just
And
it's dark
it's
and
like
it's awesome.
a lot of French illustrators, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because I looked at all of them on Amazon and I saw all the previews.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Julius, you got to check them out, man.
They're
Now I
Oh,
beautiful.
have to.
They're
I
beautiful.
definitely have to.
I
they're all on my list for as like birthday gifts. Like I'm telling my wife because they're
Yeah.
stunning.
They
Yeah, I
are.
have to
can
read them.
imagine Robert E. Howard writing like these great Conan stories, especially when you have Conan over your shoulder forcing you to write the story.
Oh, and you know what? You know what I love the most about them too? So they have the comic, and then in the back, they have Robert E. Howard's story, how it's written
That's
out.
the original, right? I saw that.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I
That's
can't wait to
great.
get
Yeah,
That
that
that.
is
is
a
awesome.
way to pay respect
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
100%.
homage
absolutely.
to a creator. But back to you, Gambino. I got
100%.
distracted. You
No,
brought it
no.
up. So yeah,
Hey,
I posted about
that's
it.
fine.
It's Conan, man. We gotta
I'm
pay respects to
Yeah, because
passionate
Conan.
about it. Hyper
I
Yeah.
remember
masculine
seeing
man with a sword.
The Dan Panosian cover and everything, and I
Oh,
thought
Dan
that looked
Panosian.
dope. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm excited about that.
he does a great Conan. He does a great Wolverine. He does.
Yes, I picked up Death Dealer #1, the Frank Frazetta Death Dealer from I'm blanking on the imprint right now, but that
It's
was
its
fun.
own imprint, I want to
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
It's definitely its own imprint. I saw it. I didn't end up picking it up. I ended up picking up a heavy metal drummer, trying to catch up with it, and Stargirl because Behemoth is putting out some crazy stuff. They're
okay.
taking all my
This is
money right
this
now.
is all going over my
We
head.
can
Nice.
remember I'm like in the shop, affiliated with the shop. I'm going to
That's
be
true.
dropping off the Alterna books to the shop
Nice,
this
nice.
week. So, I have to be in the know of certain things. I like to be up to date.
That's awesome.
But yes, so go on. So you said you like the
Oh,
fantasy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, but
Sorry.
yeah, I mean that's it. I love Hellboy too. I haven't gotten through all of it because I don't think there isn't all of it because it's still going.
Mhm.
All those little side worlds. I'm trying to look at my shelf here.
Some of your art style is kind of reminiscent of certain Hellboys I've read.
Oh, cool. Thanks. He's
Yeah.
Magnola's a big influence. I'm assuming we'll talk about that too, like our influences. And
Oh, that
everything,
was going to be
because
my next question.
You want to host the show, Anthony?
no.
Just kidding.
So ultimately, it was your professor that really is
Yeah.
who.
Yeah, and then once once I started learning about like the principles of storytelling, and he did this cool thing where he kind of like he taught about classical American illustration, um, and related it to comics and movies. So we studied film in the class, and we looked at Norman Rockwell and Dean Cornwell and N.C. Wyeth and all the big American illustrators with magazines and book covers from like the 50s, 60s, 70s. And how all that kind of influenced comics, and also how movies influenced comics. And I always loved and was drawn to the idea that, like, if you're a comic book artist, you're essentially a film director on paper, which is really cool. Like
yeah.
And I know there's this thing going around, and comics kind of has a bit of a stigma now where, like, if a lot of people think if you make a comic book, you're just making essentially storyboards and eventually sell it to a movie. I like working the other way. I like thinking of a movie that's already been made and trying to put it on paper. So, like, I love directing a movie, but drawing it instead.
That's something that I always thought about too, is how a script is similar to a movie storyboard in an aspect.
100%.
So you get it.
Yeah, and I'm trying my best every day. Julius has been great about the script. To his credit, I've been crediting him with this a lot because I really appreciated it. When we first started working together, he asked what kind of script I preferred because he had worked with different artists who preferred different scripts. And he was like, do you want a really tight one where I like lay out all the panels, or do you want something very basic and loose? And I was like, no disrespect for you, don't tell me anything. Like, don't tell me what to put on the page. Just tell me what happens, and I'll do the rest. And he was like, all right, cool. Yeah. And that was it. And we have a great rapport, and we've been working really well together as far as, I'll submit my thumbnails, and he'll be like, everything looks great, but I was thinking about kind of something like this for this panel. Would you be up to changing it? Sometimes he'll actually provide sketches, which actually makes my life easier. And same thing with the writing.
I love that.
Bit. Yeah, it's been great. It's been great.
So now I have to ask, how did you two end up working together?
Rob.
It was Rob.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It was Rob.
He middlemaned.
I got a text from him one day. It was just a link. There was no context at all. And I was like, what am I getting myself into? Because it's Rob. You never know. It could be Jesus, or it could be just blood. I don't know what he's going to send me. But
Jesus or blood. There's no in between.
So I clicked it, and it was a Twitter link to Julius's tweet that he had a story and he was looking for an artist. And I don't think you gave details about the story yet, but I think you mentioned you were looking for someone to do.
I was just looking for, on Twitter, it's one of those things where there's so many artists on there. So when I figured if I just sent this tweet out, I'm going to get just a bunch of responses of like, here's my stuff, check it out. So I figured, I'm just going to throw the net out there, cast it out, and I'm just going to sift through the different artists that respond to my tweet and see which one I felt would be the perfect fit for the story I developed. And there was quite a few that almost got there, but it was still like, no, I need something. I was looking for something gritty. I was looking for someone who can draw grit and dark, right? Because the story is pretty dark.
Yeah.
And when I got your stuff,
you were like,
full disclosure. At first, I was like, I don't know. I don't know yet. But I'm the type of person who I look at things at first glance, and I kind of put it to the side. I go, okay, this looks potential. And I put it to the side, and I keep looking. And then when I actually came back around to your stuff, and I actually paid attention to the details of what you drew on paper, I was looking. So the second time around, I look for body language. I look for facial expressions. I look for camera angles. I look for sequentials, like how your flow, how you flow your panels. And so the more I studied it, the more I realized, oh, this guy actually is very detailed with his panels. Like, he doesn't leave any dead space. Everything is filled up. So I was like, this is the guy. This is the guy right here. So that's when I reached out to Anthony, and I told him I like your stuff, and then we started going back and forth. I pitched him the story. He dug it, and we crossed our T's, dotted our I's, and off we went to produce Vigilant Fury.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, boy. What did he say? What did Padrino say?
So no, he just said I like my scripts like I like my woman, and I said thick, just like because it was the. I opened my phone and it was the first comment I seen. So.
I thought he was going to
Padrino.
say manly.
Padrino.
Man.
Mendigo.
All right. So, your influences. I'm jumping around here. Who was your influence for writing?
For me?
Yeah, for you.
I mentioned Alan Moore.
For you.
Oh, sorry.
You're the writer here.
My bad.
Or you the
Well,
artist.
I did mention Alan Moore. Alan Moore was a huge influence on me. And I know he's become kind of a polarizing figure as of late, but I just loved his take on comics. I love the fact that even though he brought a lot of the the dark elements that are it's kind of being overdone these days, but his approach to the medium, what really impressed me the most about his like work, and that is that in comics you could do so much more than you can do for as opposed to movies or TV shows. There's a lot of things you could do, a lot of I guess approaches to explore, and I love that. And he was the major influence. Other than him, in terms of writing wise, like short fiction, because I like writing for short fiction as well. Jack London was one big one for me. White Fang was a huge influence because that was the first time I actually read a novel that impressed me, because he wrote it through the eyes of the wolf, going from the wild and being domesticated, and I was just like, it just blew my mind. I was like, it was amazing. Like, how could he have done that? Like, did he like study a wolf or something? Like, I have no idea, but it was just the fact that you could do so much with words and the way you present the story and everything. And the other writers who were major influences on me was Brian Azzarello from 100 Bullets, Ed Brubaker, Mark Millar, Warren Ellis. Those were really the writers that really like it helped me explore my imagination and pushed comics to places that I didn't even think you could take them to. And of course, Peter David is another one, and Kurt Busiek was another one for me too.
That's a lot. It's like
It's
once
a lot,
you got
yeah,
into
I'm telling you.
once you got into, especially like the comic names that you're throwing out, it's like once you got into comics, you would just like, all right, I'm getting this, I'm getting this, I'm getting this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very interesting list that you have there. So I wonder how some of these influences will play into your writing style. That's what I'm always curious when I read people's writing. I'm like, I wonder, because everyone has their own style, but
right.
However you're inspired or what you were influenced under, there will be a touch of that in your work.
Absolutely.
You make it your
100%.
own. It's its own thing completely, but you will see the shades of it. Or someone will understand that there are shades of it or tones of it in there. A person that can understand writing or art, you see it in people's artwork too.
Right.
Certain artists, you can see, okay, well, this person was probably inspired by Jim Lee. We have someone that's inspired by Jim Lee here by how they're drawing superheroes, or Mark Silvestri. Or you have someone that, they're inspired by Magnolia, or they're inspired by, the list can go on, John Byrne, Arthur Adams. You can tell all this high detail and everything, and certain ways the eyes are drawn. You can tell when artists are inspired by manga. They have a certain style, so it's very interesting. What about you? Who is like influencing you?
So I feel like I've talked about Tim Sale ad nauseum the last few weeks, but I will continue to talk about Tim Sale ad nauseum.
When in Rome.
Yeah, it's
my
stunning.
favorite.
I mean, everything is. I love everything he did, and it's funny. Like a lot of the guys I love now, and who I really appreciate now, like Tim Sale, Magnolia, even Eduardo Riso. When I was just starting, so like when I was like 20, and I first saw these guys, at first, because I didn't know any better, I was kind of like, I don't think this is for me, because a lot of it looked simplified. But then
Mm.
the more I studied and the more I learned and the more I improved, I realized simplifying is actually the hardest thing to do because it means you have to know the most. And then when I realized what they were doing and I went back a couple years ago and really started looking at them because I was at a point where I was in grad school and I needed to get better quick. It was 3 years and then that's it. I was going to be a professional. So it was a real crash course of self improvement. And I really started looking at these guys, and then I saw what they were doing, and then I really fell in love. And Tim Sale for me is number one. Um, Frazetta, I mean everybody loves Frazetta. I never thought he wasn't good. He always amazed me. I'll just throw that out there. He wasn't on that list of it's kind of simple because it wasn't.
Did you like Luis Royo at all?
Who?
Luis Royo?
I don't think so. I don't think I recognize the name.
Oh
How do you spell it?
Look it up.
Louis.
What?
Royal, you're saying?
Royo.
Royo or Royal?
Royo. Oh my God, my Massachusetts accent does it to me all the time.
Louis Royo. No, I'd never seen this stuff.
Yeah, the name doesn't ring any bells for me either.
Oh, thank God. I felt like I was being judged.
He's a Spanish artist.
Oh, this is cool.
Oh, those
So,
European
and basically,
artists,
a
so
lot of
talented.
people that love Frazetta are fans of his work as well.
I can see why. I can definitely see why.
So it's probably, I think it's Luis Royo, but I have a Massachusetts accent, so it's
Yeah.
so hard. And I'm sure Ed,
noticed.
I know Ed is in here and he's watching this and he loves that artist and he's like, you're butchering the name. I'm sure he's laughing because he's probably designing tattoos in his apartment right now, or just doing sketches. And he's like, "You're butchering it, Kayla. You're butchering it."
No, this is dope.
Yeah, it's fantasy. That's why I was asking.
And it's dark fantasy too.
Oh yes.
Very cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Magnola, Tim Sale, Riso. When I started reading comics more, Capullo's Batman run was out, so that's kind of what I got my hands on.
Nice.
So I really fell in love with Capullo's work too. I really love Mike Henderson, which I feel like is kind of like a under the radar guy, but he's done some pretty great stuff. He did Nailbiter for Image, which I friggin' love that series.
I loved Nailbiter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so good.
I haven't read it. If there's any of it out now, I have not touched it. But when it first came out,
7 and 8 within the last few years. I haven't read 8 yet.
Yeah. Spencer has the hardcovers. I have the hardcovers too of Nailbiter.
Nice.
Yeah, there is Nailbiter Returns. I haven't gotten any of that. I didn't know if there was anything underneath, under or after that. Never paid attention.
I think there's one more volume. But anyway, he's another one. Andrea Sorrentino, who I don't know if he influences my work directly at all, but I can look at his stuff all day. I mean, he's
great Wolverine artist.
Oh my God, that's so good. Those first few volumes of Old Man Logan were great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we can talk about this stuff all day, but those are my top in there. Frank Miller too.
Frank Miller.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I caught when I looked at your stuff. It reminded me of Frank Miller.
That's cool.
Frank Miller and Eduardo Rizzo as well.
Yeah, it's kind of the story kind of has a Sin City 100 Bullets vibe to it. So good. We're a good pair.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that within that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, even reading the script, you can kind of tell the influences, like you were saying before, the writing influences.
So, have either of you worked professionally within the industry at all?
I have not. I've been trying to break into the industry for 10 plus years now, and no luck. So
is that why you just decided, doing your own thing? Do you think that was smarter when you hear some of the stories that you hear?
I felt that perhaps once crowdfunding became a thing, I thought, okay, here's my shot. Here's my shot to showcase that I can write a good story and entertain readers and have readers wanting, more. And I launched Ghetto Dragon. That was my first the first book I launched, and it did well. And I got a lot of good feedback. A lot of people, responded well to the book. And so when because I originally it was supposed to be one whole book, but then the artist had to step away. So I had half of it done, so that's why I split it and created Ghetto Dragon Book 1. And now that I'm getting a lot more feedback from readers saying, "Hey, when's Book 2 coming out?" I'm like, "Shit, I have to I have to wait until the artist comes back." And that's when I decided, okay, I can't like get cold, right? So that's why I sent out that tweet looking for another artist, because like I have to produce something now, something short, one shot, no continuation, just something to stay in the front lines and get people more eyes on my work, so that way I could keep growing and gain a readership. And down the line, I do hope to one day work for get published by like Image or Alterna or a publishing house of some kind. And so yeah, that's still the goal of mine. But I thought indie was the best way for me to get ahead and to show readers that, hey, yeah, Julius Freeman can write a comic book story, a good one at that.
That's interesting. And you get to own your own IP, which is
That's right.
great.
That's right.
You don't have to deal with like really any middleman.
No.
And
no.
you're
And
responsible. Do you have someone that distributes the books for you, or do you do
I
that
do that.
stuff?
I did all that.
See?
Yeah. It was definitely a trial by fire for sure when I jumped into it. And I wish part of me wishes that the book was a lot more successful, but at the same time, it was like, well, it's a good thing that I found this amount of success, because then I got a taste of what it really entails, right? The shipping cost, the materials for the shipping, the shipping materials, and the printing cost, all that stuff. And now I feel a lot more confident. And now now that I got to see the logistical business part of it, of indie comics, which is, I think, what a lot of people who jump into the crowdfunding world, they kind of fail to see that part of it, the aspect of it. And then once I saw it, once I experienced it, now I'm a lot more confident in doing the crowdfunding thing. And it might, even if the thing doesn't work out with the Image or being published by Image or Alterna, I still have, crowdfunding in indie comics.
Yeah, I mean, you're still published.
And I'm still published. Yeah, self-published. That's something. I mean,
that's America, is what it is.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you think about it, you can always submit into Alterna when you want.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, we talked about
Yeah,
that.
and I don't
You can
feel
always
too
do
bad
that
about
if
it,
you wanted.
because I look at people like Terry Moore and Jeff Smith. Is that his name? I don't know.
Jeff Smith, the
Jeff
Jabone.
Smith.
Yep.
Those two are heroes of mine, because they've self-published since the 90s. And
That's crazy.
you see, there you go. Death Curse knows what's up. He knows the pain.
Nice, buddy.
Oh, that's just Spencer.
They've been going nuts.
He's making it easier for when I go down there. That means I'm not going to have much to do. I'll probably have to kiss some more posters, though.
It's so funny you guys are doing that.
Yeah,
So
we decided to. I will have no work but posters.
Nice.
I'll be working the corner of a poster. I'm like, how do women even do this? How do they get the same lip print every time? I'm like, I'm guessing like they have a stamp.
Yeah, I think they do.
They must have a stamp.
They make a
That's
stamp.
gotta be weird to make.
Yeah, I guess
just do
so.
it once, boom, send it to the whatever, and then get a stamp back, and you're good to go.
Yeah, just get a piece of clay, smack it on your face, and then
yeah. 3 rad dudes backed us 5 times. Whoa.
What?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
They want those
On
lips.
purpose?
What can I say?
Oh, I see. I got you. That's why.
Oh, goodness gracious. So, what about your work experience with comics?
I've been in the industry for 6 years now. That's my day job. I'm a graphic designer for Marvel. So
So
I've been in on that side of it for, like I said, 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. So it's
What was the what do you think is the most what was your favorite thing to do so far doing that type of work? Something that's in print if you're allowed to say it, or
oh, for sure.
because I think I own
Favorite
something you
thing.
did.
Oh, really? That's pretty
Oh,
cool.
Well, I'm a Jean
I
Grey
think you
collector.
did I work on? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ah,
The
Phoenix
2017.
Resurrection.
Did
I
I
want to
work on
say,
that?
did you do Phoenix Resurrection? Did you?
I have
I
no
think you
idea.
might have. You did one of the Phoenix things. I'm like
I know I did.
pretty sure you did
I did
something with Jean Grey.
the ancillary designs for the
Hmm.
X-Men relaunch back in like 2017.
And
That
I
was
own
like
that.
X-Men Gold and Blue and
X-Men
all
Gold and
those.
Blue. Yeah, I own all
Yeah,
of
so
those.
that was all my design work on those pages, not the logos. Um,
Yeah.
shit, I don't know what my favorite thing is.
Oh, there has to be something that stands out to you more than others.
There are a few, and I think a lot of them have to do with covers. Um, so sometimes,
Yeah.
like when we get variants, um, specifically, like I love working on Gabriele Delotto's pieces because he's a painter,
Hmm.
nice.
Like
and
Gabriel
he's it,
Delato. I thought it was Delato.
yeah.
I've been saying it wrong my whole
Well,
life.
it's I mean the guy's like Italian, so it's I'm not gonna
Really? I
say
thought he
like
was Spanish.
no Delotto it's Italian, Gabriele Delotto.
Oh, I'm not Italian, so I
Well,
don't
yeah,
Lovely.
know.
When you say it like that, it's so
uh,
lovely sounding.
Babidi
The
Boop,
I
lot.
yeah.
know, it sounds so nice.
So those are always a joy to work on. I worked on a cover for Amazing Spider-Man 800, one of his that I was pretty pleased with, and I worked on some stuff recently because I was working on the covers for a bunch of years, and now I'm working on the trades. So I get a lot more. It's a lot more design heavy, and a little bit more freedom. So like I can kind of make everything look like a poster if I want to, and it's a lot of fun. Um, I just did some stuff for a Ben Riley trade that I can't show, but I was really pleased with it.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, so I
awesome.
have no idea what's going on in these books, but I enjoy designing for them and
So you
making
like,
things.
I'm just curious, are you like under contract or are you like an
I'm a
independent, you're a
no no I'm
freelancer or what,
full time
or
employee. I'm a full
full-time
time employee.
employee? Really?
It's a 9 to 5. Yeah yeah yeah. So that's the like it's probably the most creative group is their designers because everything else is
Hmm.
freelance. So like writers, pencilers, inkers, colorists,
Yeah.
letterers, that's all freelance. But they do hire some freelance designers too if we're like really swamped and need some extra help.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, we there's an in-house design team that's a full-time position.
Do you want to break down what you do as far as like the design work goes there so people understand what, because you'd be surprised how many people don't understand.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
I
I,
know.
def- I
I
personally
know
didn't.
this.
And
I know this is going to sound odd, but
no, it's not.
with
I've actually encountered it a lot, and I find that even when I explain it, but like my parents, forget it. They still don't know what I do for them. They still don't know what my job is, my day job. So like I'll show them a page, and I'm like, look, I designed this page, and they'll be like, well, what do you mean? And I was like I put all this together, and they're like, well, would you? There's no drawings. I was like, no, I don't draw for them.
no.
It's design work. It's like a
Hmm.
publication layout. They're like, I what'd you do? I was like, all right, you see this page? Like, yeah. I'm like, okay, before it was white. There was nothing on it. I did the layout, I picked the fonts, all that stuff. And they're like, did you write this stuff? I was like, no, the text was given to me. So I just started telling people, like, I make shit look pretty. Like, that's basically what I do. So I started out with designing the covers. So we would get the artwork in, and then we have to dress it, like put the logo on. And all that stuff. So it wasn't too design heavy, but then I started doing more ancillary pages, which is like the recap and the next issue page and the letters columns. Um, Recap, credits page, whatever people know it by. And then I was doing all that for a few years, and then I recently started working in the trades. So, like I said, it's a little bit more design work because they're bigger books. So I like it a lot more. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I'm designing spreads now with the credits, half title pages, which is basically like if you open up if you get a trade, you have the cover, obviously the front cover, and then you open it up, and the
Mm-hmm.
first right hand page will be the half title, which is kind of like a brief introduction, and then you flip the page and it's the credit spread. So it's got the information of the book and then everybody who worked on it. So I design all that stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but it's similar principles to illustration because it's like rules of third and hierarchy and communication and all that stuff. So it's kind of like taking the things that I would put onto a page for illustration and mixing them with the design principles to basically I try to make posters because that's what I love doing as far as design work. But yeah.
I think you broke that down for everybody that doesn't understand what that career field entails.
Oh, cool. And logos. Sorry, I'm done.
And I was going to say you do logos too. You're stealing my interview away, Gambino. Stop reading my mind.
Question. I'm sorry. It's the East Coast attitude in my brain, you know.
I'm on the East Coast too.
I know. That's why.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
So,
that's a thing. East Coast attitudes.
Oh yes.
Different accent, same attitude. It don't matter.
We definitely like if you travel to the East Coast and then travel to the West Coast, or you travel down south, there is like a total difference in personality. I feel like here we're like, we're like the Northerners in Game of Thrones. We're just like ready, like pretty much like if you think about it, because like people in the South, it's like Southern hospitality. Yeah. And then on the West Coast, they're all like very laid back. Well, maybe not as much anymore in certain areas of the West Coast.
Certain areas, no, but yeah, overall,
they're pretty much like they had the reputation for being laid back. But yeah,
LA is oblivious.
Yeah, they're on their own planet.
Oh my God, I was there once. I was there one time in grad school, and I had to stop the car for people crossing the street reading a book. I'm like, why? What's wrong? I was like, you deserve to be hit. I was like, what's the matter with you? Put the fucking book away.
You gotta honk at them, Anthony. You gotta honk.
Isn't that against the law there?
Gotta honk.
They're not allowed to jaywalk over there.
Oh, but they can read a book and cross the street.
That's
fantastic.
We still do it. We still
Maybe they were looking for translations of streets and which way to turn.
Oh my God.
I once had at my day job, I once had someone who came from New York to live in California for a few years, and I asked her, hey, what tell me what the difference is between people in New York and people in LA, and she said, people in New York, they're a-holes to you to your face, but here they're a-holes to you behind your back. And I was like, oh, interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, that sucks.
That's true.
She's like, yeah, not you though, but the people I've met, and she was from like the coastal area. She lived in the coastal area, like Newport Beach, the nice higher end areas of Southern California. And she told me like people there are just like, hey, how you doing? But they have a knife behind their back, ready to stab you in the back.
Oh,
Julius,
yeah.
I mean this as a compliment. I think you do okay over here.
I think so too.
I think you would.
I think you'd be just fine.
I think I'll be, because I was raised by my stepdad. My stepdad was very, I guess you could say, unique for as far as California standards are concerned, because he was very hard around the edges, very rough, very straight out. I'm getting flooded with memories. God rest his soul. He would tell me things like, son, if you're real, as long as you're real, and who cares if you're an asshole? If you're real, at least that's better than being a fake asshole. So I was like, okay, cool.
That's East Coast mentality. I'm telling you.
It's true, because then you have to keep up with that charade the whole entire time. Mm-hmm. Who wants to pretend to be somebody else? I mean,
so
I don't.
So when I heard people from the East Coast, like, because when I went to college, there's people from the East Coast who came to California, and I liked their attitude. I liked their straightforward attitude. They didn't hide it, and I liked that. And I remember a lot of my classmates would be like, how can you be friends with that person? They're so rude. I was like, but they're real. They're being real. That's what matters to me. That's why I like it. They're authentic. Authenticity goes a long way for me.
That's right.
And
So if you're real
authenticity
about
is
it, then I'm cool with
imperfection.
it.
Nothing that is, so put it this way, nothing that is perfect can be real, and nothing that is real can be perfect. It's just how it is.
Lovely. I like that.
There isn't perfection in authenticity.
There you go.
Authenticity is flawed. That's
Absolutely
deep, right? That's some
yeah,
deep stuff.
hell yeah, it's deep. Yeah, and my
Think about
stepdad was flawed. Let me just tell you, he was flawed, but at least he was real about it. He didn't hide his. I guess you could say he didn't hide his sins. Let's just put it that way.
Good for him.
But
Yeah,
that was, I guess you could say that was part of his downfall. You know, he didn't really face the demons that he had. You know, because he was an alcoholic. So it was one of those things where it's like, maybe you should look in the mirror every once in a while, like put that philosophy into practice, Dad, and see if you could get out of this little hole you're in. But no, he succumbed to it.
Yeah. That's
sorry to bring the stream down.
Oh no, it's okay. You know what? I appreciate.
Hug,
I know, literally. I want to hug you, like. You know,
no,
hopefully,
it's all good.
Hopefully, there's
it's all
some way
good.
that you incorporated something about him within your work, because what's a better way, you know?
Not just my work, but my everyday living. You know, when I first met my wife and we first started dating, that's what she told me. She's like, "You're just so rough and straight out," and I was like, "Well, there's a reason why." And so it's fine. You know, I took the good parts from his what he taught me in life, and I learned from the lessons, from the bad. You know.
So speaking of that, okay, when you just say you learn from the lessons, just in general, you know, when we all start out or when we go to get involved in something, we fail.
Yeah.
So are there any failures that either of you have had that you have learned from when it comes to this comic book process or art process or writing process? Like, is there a story you have or an example you could talk about? You know, because when you share these things, you give people the opportunity to learn from a situation they could be in that, you know, they may be going into that is similar, or it's, you know, it's just education. Knowledge is power. It's stronger than physical power, really. So you're just sharing knowledge. And I think that is like the best gift that you can give to anybody that would want to like get into, you know, the field of creating a comic book, or perhaps doing design work at a place, or just doing artwork, you know. So anything that you can talk about that, or if you have any examples. Who wants to go first?
All night.
I'll go.
I have time.
I
have time.
Go for it, Anthony. Go for it.
I'm gonna jump off cam though real quick because I have to take a cat out of the room. I'm gonna be able to hear you though. So
okay. I'll start off by saying that like still, Julius, this might not be something you want to hear, but like I fail every day. Like every fucking day I fail in some way. But I learned early on that that's the best thing that can happen.
Yeah.
I'm not a teacher or professor yet, but I've spoken to some classes before for like older professors. And anytime like that they ask, you know, for a piece of advice or something, specifically for being in school, I say, do not be afraid to fuck up. Like if you're gonna mess up, this is the place to do it. Like do it in school because
right.
you have to. And I still do it. I've messed up a bunch of times with these pages. I've redrawn panels. I've redrawn pages. I'll continue to do that.
Do you think that makes you a stronger artist in the long run?
Stronger or more stubborn? I don't know, but I'm sure it will be. It's stronger in the sense of calloused. Like I'm not afraid anymore to mess up because I know I can just redo it. It sucks. It takes more time, but if it's worth it, it's worth it, and that's kind of the bottom line. Because I always like, when I was younger, I still do to an extent, but like there was always this fear of failure all the time with everything.
Mm.
So especially even though I loved illustration and I recognized that early on in college, I was like it terrified me because I wasn't good. I'm still not the best by any means. I'm still learning and still trying.
But would
But
you want to be the best? Would you want to
no,
be the best? You know what I
no,
always
no, no.
think? You
I just
never
want to
want to
be
master anything. You
right
truly never
because
want to
then you
master anything
yeah you got to
because
keep
then you
learning.
don't have capacity to learn. So you got
Right,
to keep learning.
Mm.
right.
Go on. I had to say
I
it.
just wanted I just wanted to get to a point where I'm happy with my own work. And there have always been
Mm.
like moments that I'm happy with or aspects that I'm happy with. But and I've tried different processes. I've tried thumbnailing and then redrawing on bigger boards. That was a mess. I've tried just ink. I've tried ink wash. I've tried markers. I've tried I'll bring up my first piece. Like when I first started, I got water soluble colored pencils, and I was like faux watercoloring with these pencils and using wet Q-tips to blend everything. Um, a lot of it's just trying different things and seeing what you respond to. Um, but like, I just I kind of am getting rid of that fear of failing, which I'm happy with. Even if I'm not the best artist or where I would like to be, I'm definitely better than I was when I was 20. I'm better than I
Mm.
was last year. Um, so yeah, I fail every day, but it's a good thing and it's a joy and it's turned into something positive.
Well,
So
you're happy. That's what
yeah, for sure.
that's, and I loved that you said that because that is important. There is nothing in life that is perfect.
Hmm.
There's nothing,
Right.
you know? And I like failing. I like hitting rock bottom. I'll be the first person to say it. It may suck when you're going through it at the time or when you have to deal with things, but you get a chance to be better,
Hmm.
you
Exactly.
know? Because
Yeah.
if you're at your rock bottom or you fail, your options are you dig yourself in a hole more or you rise above it.
Right.
So I'm always one
Absolutely.
like you want to rise above. And I also think too, it's great that you played around with all these different products and got to work with different mediums and everything because then you get to find what works for you. And you also gain experience with other things and what you know. Oh,
Yeah.
great. I have another one in here. And this is the
Oh,
troublemaker. Well,
oh,
she's a munchkin cat and she's going
I
to
love those cats. Love
she's
cats.
so cute.
well, she is a terror. Here, I'll show you her. Everyone.
Yeah.
Love to fail forward. That's a great. That's a
Exactly.
great comment there.
Exactly.
No, yeah,
That's
that's
great.
who
Oh,
said
what a
Oh,
that.
cutie.
She is a terror, though. Like, look at Terror Squad. Oh, Ed said that.
cute
Ed, you're
guy.
watching. You're here. Yay! It's my boyfriend.
Nice.
Oh
So,
yeah, we met like last year. You forced him on a stream, on a Death Curse stream.
did I force him? Oh, I did
Yeah.
force him on a stream to
Yeah.
draw.
Yeah. Because we're all
I
drawing
will
at the
continually
time.
force him to draw because
He's got
he's
some
an
skills.
amazing artist.
Yeah.
He is an amazing artist. He should be doing covers. He's a
Is
tattoo artist.
I was
Tattooing
just
is
gonna
his
ask.
love.
I was gonna ask
Yeah.
if he's translated yet into comics.
He will be.
That's oh.
Soon enough. Soon enough, he will be.
We're playing around with a little story that I came up with, and he's playing
Oh,
around and
cool.
figuring everything out
Nice.
because he has a background. He went to school for art too. He went to art school as well.
Nice.
So, and I believe it was illustration. Was it, Ed? I hope you're listening. I think he went for illustration as well. I think so. Or maybe I'm a bad because I didn't listen correctly to what he said. He said, "Yeah." Okay. So
Cool.
I did listen correctly. But
That's awesome.
what about you though, Julius? Like,
Yeah, one of my favorite comedians growing up was Andy Kaufman, and he had a quote which I still like look back to every time I'm down, and his quote is, "The secret to success is failure."
yes.
And that quote always stuck with me because it helped me realize, you know what, that's the only way you learn. That's the only way you grow. Like I mentioned earlier, trial by fire, right? I made a ton of
Mm.
mistakes, the first time around when I crowdfunded my first book, but I've, it's like Goku from Dragon Ball Z, right? He gets beat up almost to death, then he heals and he comes back stronger, a lot more powerful. And that's how I view my failures, is that, yeah, you're right, Anthony. We fail every day. We're broken people. We're broken human beings. But the whole point of life, to me anyway, is you face the failures head on. You let it burn, right? You let it burn, and then once the burn goes away, you heal up and you keep on soldiering on. And it's kind of like it takes me back to the yin and yang, right? The yin and yang is this circle with both the dark and the light sharing the same space, right? And the dot in between, the white dot in the black and the black dot in the white, it's, for me, indicates that we're all capable of falling into darkness, but still have that ball of light still there in the
Well-
case that we want to get ourselves out. We
Well,
can.
we can't exist without each other. We are all
Exactly.
comprised of both dark and
Exactly.
light.
We're all sharing. It's sharing the same space. That's why that symbol is so powerful, because it's sharing the same space. It's not separate. And so, yeah, I think I always consider myself a student of the game, and I'm always going to consider myself a student of the game forever, because
I
that's
love
what it's all
that.
about. It's all about remaining there, so that way you can keep on remaining open and gathering more knowledge and information, and not being closed off to, oh, I'm set to in my way, and that's that. No, it's more like, well, show me more. Like, for instance, like, it was very daunting to do the live streams in the beginning for me. It was like
Me too.
nerve wracking.
Me too.
Like, oh, I'm going to be in front of a camera. People are going to see me. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to talk about. Yeah. But I realized, you know what? I have to do it. I have to do it if I want to sell my product, if I want to sell myself, or else who's going to know who I am if I don't do this, right? And so, again, making the mistakes as I go along. I didn't buy the best, microphone in the beginning. I didn't buy the best, I didn't know where to go, but I with time, you learn, you start to connect with people. You start to ask them, hey, what do you recommend for this? What do you recommend for that? And the more information you get, the more and more confident you'll get. And there's nothing wrong with confidence, right? Just remain humble. If you remain humble, your confidence will be just like freaking Superman, right? Nothing will like detract you from your confidence if you remain humble and open to understanding and knowing that every day you can fail. And if you do fail, it's okay. Just get yourself back up and keep on going. And that's how you gain wisdom, in my opinion. You gain wisdom by, like you mentioned just now, Kayla, how you gotta either dig yourself deeper into a hole or you rise above it. So if you rise above it, then you gain wisdom. And then and then when someone else comes along who's in the hole themselves that you were once in, you can help. You could reach out. You could reach your hand out and say, hey man, come, take my hand, and I'm going to show you that it's fine. Just get yourself out. And eventually it's like life is like a roller coaster. Some days are up and then some days are down, but it's going to go back up again. And that's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes. And the whole point, the whole I guess end result is you want to keep it like this, not like this, but keep it
You
steady.
gotta ride the wave either way.
You gotta ride the wave, because there's peaks. There's always going to be peaks and valleys.
We're all here.
The end result is it stops, right? I mean,
no.
At
It
the
never
end,
stops.
Right.
when you die, it stops.
Well,
So
does it? Does it? We don't know.
Oh,
We don't
well,
have the answers.
That's
the unknown.
that's a whole other stream right
You
there.
got to be out of here before 11, so let's not talk about that shit.
I have a question for you. What have you learned from doing your first campaign, Julius, that is different from now? Like, I'm going to pull up the campaign. Give me 1 second. Let me start my camera and pull this up. I have been invested. I'm invested in this conversation because it's interesting. I like to get to know everyone that's on the show. And I just like to hear, different perspectives. And I think tonight we're all kind of on the same wavelength, you know?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. That's
We
gonna be
should
the
have just all
theme. That's the
did
theme
the
of the night.
wave. The wave. Sink or swim.
Sink or swim. There you go. There you go. What have I learned?
All right. Yeah. What have you learned? Like, what's the biggest difference between like this camp? Well, obviously the content is this is a very different book than Ghetto Dragon.
Yeah, very
So,
different.
which
Very
Ghetto
different.
Dragon. Sorry, give me one sec. I'm trying to find my StreamYard tab. Give me a second. I'll find it. I'm here. That was a book that I missed. That I afterwards people were posting, and I was like, oh man, because I loved like the action that I saw in it.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Because I like all of that kind of stuff too. That's like
The-
another side of me.
well, I'm thinking about doing a second chance.
Yes, you definitely should.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
I
thinking
need
about
to read
doing
that
it.
book.
I just want to I want to reach out to the artists and I gotta I guess have a sit down with them and ask them like when can you commit, so that way I can plan book two's campaign and then get and then do the second chance campaign and then lead to the book two launch. But that's still in the I guess early draft stage as to when I get a hold of him, because he's very busy but very cool dude. His name's Alan Fletcher. He lives in Sweden, I think, or Norway. No, I'm sorry, Norway. He lives in Norway.
Nice. You got a Viking. To
Very cool dude. Very down to earth. Very humble. Very traveled. He's originally from the UK. He moved to Australia for a year, and then moved to Norway. It was like, dude, this guy is like a Renaissance man. But the biggest takeaway I would say is networking. I failed the first time. I failed to build, networking and building a social media presence. That was what I learned the most. Is I jumped in to the crowdfunding, I guess, blind, not really knowing exactly what it took to have a successful crowdfunding campaign. And what I've learned since the first campaign is the importance of networking with your peers, and helping them out, promoting their stuff and being involved in their live streams and having a good time. That's part of it too. Having a good time, not taking it so seriously. And the second thing was, your social media presence, like building up the followers and getting yourself out there. And you mentioned that we were Enigmas online. Like, I'm online all the time. It's just that people, it's easy to get drowned out.
Stuff. Yeah, I guess it probably really is. It probably really is easy to get drowned out.
And I see your tweets, like which I wanted to bring up. I love your questions that you always bring up on your Twitter feed. Great questions.
Thank you.
Yeah,
they
they always like leave me like wondering, like, oh, that's a good question. Like, wow, I never thought of that. And that's why a lot of the times I do respond to
you definitely do respond to the questions.
Yeah, and because they're great. They're great to like think about. And again, it adds to what we're talking about, knowledge. It adds to knowledge of like, because you come from a perspective that I wish I came from, which is the comic book shop. I've always wanted to work for a comic book shop.
You know what? It's people think it's something that it's not. It's a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work.
Absolutely.
Especially Comic Cons too. Working as a vendor, everyone just sees Comic Cons and they think, Artist Alley, or they think of the celebrities.
Right.
They don't realize how hard it is to be a vendor. Being a vendor at New York Comic Con, I've only worked New York Comic Con as a vendor. I've done press. I've done assistance for like a couple of my cosplay friends, Brandon Clark in particular. I've assisted for artists. I've done probably everything there is to do at cons for the most part. But being a vendor is a hard job, especially in New York. New York is a madhouse. Everyone should work New York Comic Con once in their life, by the way. Everyone. They should have a mission to work New York Comic Con. Go there, it's set up, watch everything get set up, see how everyone is in there, and it's like a mad rush. But yeah, Comic Cons and just comic shops in general, it's not what people think behind the scenes of everything. It's a lot of hard work. Going through damages, going through shipments, having to bring in shipments, pick up shipment, all of that, especially if there's more than one shop location, transporting things from store to store, selling out of something, having to go to the other store and there is a lot. Customer service, having
Right.
knowledge. Let me tell you, customers know. They know. And I get upset when certain things are said about shops, just because I've been a woman working in shops for a long time, and I've shopped in shops since I was 3. And I've worked in the shop that I grew up shopping in. All right. And playing
Nice.
Pokemon in as a kid. But it's, you have to have knowledge. I'm not saying you have to know about everything, but you have to have the knowledge about what it is that you're selling, because the customers know they're
Absolutely.
fans just like you. They're going to
Yeah.
connect to you through your passion and the information that you have. That's how you're going to make your sales. And that's also, too, passion. That's what makes me back people's projects. Anthony, you had a project out.
Yeah, that was. I mean, talk about a great first experience and a learning experience for sure. The sketchbook was
And I loved it. I
so
backed
much
it.
fun. Thank you so much. Yeah,
I
you backed
posted it.
on
I
the
shared it.
stream.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
that was crazy. That was again,
It was gorgeous.
a lot thanks to Rob because he helped me out with networking a lot because I would have never done that. I didn't even know it was a thing until he asked me to go on his show.
Really?
See, and that was
Oh,
smart.
yeah,
That
I
was
was.
you building your network. That
Yeah,
was what I failed to do the first time I launched my campaign. Was that very thing of showing my face and being in the chat, interacting with people in the chat,
but if I
and
didn't
trying to
have
get on
someone,
other shows.
if I didn't have
Uh-huh.
someone tell me to do that and tell me
Right.
it was a thing, I would have never known. I would have never known. I didn't know it existed. It was the weirdest thing to me at first,
Really?
in a good way.
Same here.
Yeah.
No, same here. Same here. I was like, this is a thing. People do this. Like, oh my god.
Mhm.
Like, because like you, Kayla. Like, I'm sure in your experience, because my experience, one of the best parts of going to the comic shop for me growing up was interacting with the other customers and talking about comics with the other customers, talking about our favorite characters, talking about our favorite writers and artists, and the comic shop
Oh, you
and
challenge
talking
each
shop.
other. You
Exactly.
challenge each other. Like, that's
Exactly.
why when people say, like, you know, I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want to make it a drama stream. But like
Do it.
all right, well, when people say that comic shops are sexist, I will do it because they're not. Because let me tell you, if you're a nerd and you're involved in any fandom, you're going to have your knowledge challenged. That's just what it
Yeah.
is.
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter if you're a woman, man, whatever you identify as. I don't give a shit.
That's dumb. People say
It's
that.
it's not anything personally against you. That's just how fandoms and nerdoms are. There has to be one victor, and everyone wants to be like the queen of the nerds or the king of the nerds. That's just what it
Right.
is. So
My
it didn't.
my
Spencer. It took zero convincing.
my
Good work,
local shop
Gambino.
my, my local shop has been open I think for over 30 years now
Oh,
and
it's awesome.
been owned by the same woman for 30 years.
Nice.
So
Yeah, that's like
That's awesome.
Harrison's. Yeah.
that's just people are dumb. They got nothing better to do and just start shit.
So let's take a
Yeah.
look.
No. Yeah. I had lots of girls in the comic shops I used to go to, and never once was it ever a problem. They were just as big as nerds as the guys were, and they were part of the group. They were always part of the group, always.
Yeah. We're more
And
competitive than you
back,
guys.
back in the day, back in the day, not before Hollywood got their little grimy hands on the comic book culture. Comic book culture was a little like like special club.
weirdos.
It was a secret
Well,
club
you
that
see it
that
with
not many people were part
cons.
of.
You see it with
Yeah.
cons now.
Yeah,
Comic cons have changed. That's why I'm more apt to.
tremendously.
I loved working larger cons at first, but then after years, like, because I started working cons in 2014, I want to say. Okay, so I've been working cons for quite a while. It's like Spencer will say too, Fan Expo. Like, so Fan Expo Boston, it used to be Boston Comic Con, and then Fan Expo bought it out. And Fan Expo, I get aggravated. Yes, celebrities are a draw to a con, but it is a comic con. Okay. So if any business is being outwardly rude to you, you might just be an asshole. I think he's just talking about his shop. He's just talking about his shop. All right. I was like, what did that have to do with anything? I'm talking about Fan Expo here. But it's like when you're a vendor with shops in general. Yes, that's in general. But with Fan Expo, and it's basically like they don't treat the creators very well or the vendors very well. And the vendors are the people that, they put this money in, and the creators put money in too, unless you're a really super huge name and then they pay you to be there.
Right.
So what that attracts is, I have a love-hate relationship with cosplay. Everybody knows it. People that, know who they're cosplaying and they're interested in it and they're passionate about the product, and they don't do it for just a fad or attention or to go there and just take pictures, with celebrities and themselves for likes online. Those are the cosplayers that I respect and I love. But the other ones that they don't know anything about this industry. They're not interested in looking to see artwork. They're not interested in reading a comic book. They're not interested in any of this stuff. That's what it's really become about. It's become a huge draw for just like celebrity and cosplay. It's people aren't going there to see the comic creators. They're not going there to see the artists. They're not going there going into Artist Alley. It's not over flooded unless it's someone that is a super huge name or they're familiar with somebody who their work was featured in a movie. Like a movie became a thing, and they went and looked into the comics, and then they always find out too that the comics are vastly different than the movies and the TV shows.
Absolutely.
So, but I actually have I have extra time, by the way, guys. So I have some extra time. So don't worry about it. But we're going to take a look at Vigilant Fury now. I just want to say you're getting compliments on your black and white art style.
Oh, cool.
I'm trying to scroll up to get to it so I can, or Spencer, find it, post it. That's your job. You're behind the scenes.
We actually got a backer during this.
That's
stream.
Awesome. So I should reload this, right?
Yeah.
I should reload this. Let me move my lamp.
Oh, I didn't get a notification. Weird.
Reload. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
33.
Got the Kayla bump.
Oh, yeah.
People have been backing on my streams now, and that makes me feel so like excited for you guys. Like it's not even about me.
Awesome.
Like when I do these interviews and everything, it's always about who I'm interviewing. I'm interested in you guys. I want people that are passionate and just want to put out good work and have original stuff. That's just what it is for me.
Well,
so
thank you.
I'm always excited.
Like we appreciate you guys because like I said before, I didn't know this was a thing before last year, and I never really was keen on the idea of sending stuff to publishers just because I didn't really have the confidence, and I kind of knew what the answer was going to be, especially with my art style. But like people like you who do these shows help people like us get our stuff out there, and we really we're catering to the direct audience, which is great, instead of somebody in an office saying, oh, this is what I think, and that's all that matters.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would much rather get a bunch of people on board who actually like my stuff and want to see it.
Fan service.
Yeah, of course.
There you go.
It's real grassroots stuff. I dig
you
it.
gotta, please the people that are going to invest in your product and push you to do more work. They're putting money in your pockets, so you're able to continue doing this. And I definitely get you. I mean, I never would have thought I would have been on here interviewing. Like I was so against like getting on the internet. I always did interviews in person at cons, and I had a lot of failure. I've done great interviews, but they weren't printed. I was sent to do interviews, and half of them were not printed.
Bummer.
Oh God, it was heartbreaking. But I have some of the greatest interviews recorded on my phone, and I got to meet some of the coolest people. Not everyone can say like, oh, I can pull up an interview with Ken Lashley on my phone. What? I can put up an interview with, I can pull up a Rob Liefeld interview on my phone. I can pull up interviews I could go on a list of people, even like including Samantha Newark from Gem, like just crazy stuff, and then like half of the cast of The Walking Dead on my phone. I can pull it up, but they never were printed. So, you learn. But yeah, Spencer was the one. You got to get on here. You got to do this, So I'm here and I'm doing it and I love it. It's different. I can't wait to go to cons and, get that. I don't want to say that. He was right, though. He was right. Spencer's right about a lot of things. But we're gonna take a look at Vigilant Fury, and I actually read like a really large PDF that was so. You sent me like a large preview.
Which agenda? The 18 one, Julius?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
my god!
I
Well,
sent the
I
18
can
page
tell
for
you,
you.
I couldn't open it on one thing, and I had to open it on another thing.
That's that's what
it
I've been
was
trying to figure out. I'm
it
trying to figure
was
out how to compress the file so it won't be as large, but I don't know how
I
to do that on
I
my end.
tried to compress it. It said I didn't have like the rights to do it. So I looked at it on my phone. I wanted to pull it up
Oh.
here and I was gonna ask like if you would allow me to show a sneak, but I for some reason I can't get it to go to my Google Drive. I, so
Hmm.
Well, there's an 8-page sneak on the campaign.
well yeah, we're gonna go through that, So but I was very intrigued because I read it at my UPS job when it was sent to me. Um I was working at UPS
Nice.
that day. So there's little lulls in between running around like a mad person. And I just thought the concept of this book was so unique. I don't think there's anything out there like this, just the story itself. So I just want to go down. All right. So do you want to talk about this? Because I loved I loved this.
Oh, cool.
Because for me,
Awesome.
this is, how can I put it? This is a strong female character without it being in your face that it is a strong female character. And they're going through like a real situation,
Yeah.
like a real life situation that is absolutely horrifying to me. I don't know about anyone else, but it's something that's horrifying to me. So do you just want to
And it
talk about it? Yeah.
happens
Yeah.
more than people would think.
It
But
and it
Yeah.
happens in this country, and people
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
it that happens. It
Mhm.
happens in
Tremendous
almost every
amount.
state.
Mm-hmm.
Heartbreaking.
Mm.
Well, I'll give you a little backstory of this story. So, originally, when I was developing it, it was a male um, lead, and
Really?
the setup was way different. There's no ship. There was none of that. It was a guy who was a aspiring UFC fighter, but didn't have the killer instinct. You know, he had the heart, but didn't have the killer fighting instinct to make it according to his trainer. And it was way different, way different. And so, as I was developing it, and my wife, I always use my wife as the gauge meter too. So when I throw her ideas or things that I'm working on, depending on her reaction, her first reaction. So if it's like oh, that's pretty cool, then I quit. It sucks. Like it's not good. I gotta go back to it and work on it. But if she gives me a really like ooh like a very curious look, or like her eyes kind of perk up or open up a little wider, then I'm like, okay, I'm onto something here. And
Mm.
as I was developing it and telling her what was the story I was working on, she just one day blurted out, "Why don't you make this into why don't you make the character into a woman?" I was like, "Woman?"
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, "Huh? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my reaction. Like a woman, interesting, huh? Well, that changes things. That changes the whole thing." So then I was like, "Okay, you know what? Let me think about that." And I started thinking about it more and more, and then I was like, "Yeah, this might work." And so then I told her, "But I never written a woman before. I don't know how how to approach it." And then she of course told me, "Well, I'll help you out with that. I'll let you know, you know what 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 I would do in that situation like that." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So then I had to change the entire thing. Got rid of the whole UFC fighter thing, and then
You could
and
say that for
I came
something else,
across.
though.
No, yeah, I definitely am. I then came across the article that I sent to Anthony as a reference, because I was doing some research, and I found an article about this shipping container ship that some employees found this container that had this secret compartment door on the side. And when the employee looked at it, he was like, "What the hell is that?" And he opened it, and he looked inside, and he saw a bunch of blankets, bottled water, buckets, and he was like, "What the
Mm.
hell?" And then of course he let his boss know, and then they discovered this like container was pretty much used for human trafficking. And this was an article back in 2002, I think. So it was old. That
That's
was an old story. And that I was like, okay, that's it.
that's
That's gonna be the setting. Because I
yeah,
was thinking about like that would be terrifying. That would just
that
be
is
absolutely terrifying.
terrifying
You know, in
Mhm.
the
to
sea, in
me.
the middle of the sea, you don't know who to trust, and that's what started it. And then as I was writing the story and developing it, again, I was telling my wife about the ideas, and she would tell me, she was like, no, she can't really do that. Like, for instance, I wrote where she's like fighting the bad guys head on, right? And she's like, no, that's not gonna fly. And I was like, well, why not? So because she's men typically overpower women. It's very easy for men to overpower women. So she's
Yes.
got to be sly. She's got to be slick. She's got to be like a fox. I was like, oh,
I like your
interesting,
wife.
interesting. Yeah.
I don't
So
know her, but she would be my good friend. I have a feeling.
yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure you two will get along just fine. And she was like, yeah, she's gotta use her wits to beat these bad guys. And I was like, okay, all right. And so now I had to think of ways to how is this character going to approach this. And as I developed it more and more, um, you got the 18-page preview that we sent you. You got a glimpse of what she's gonna do
Mm.
for the rest of the
Mhm.
story, and that's essentially what ended up being Vigilant Fury. It was yeah, it was yeah.
Because I feel like everyone is going to be so shocked and so surprised, and people need to get on backing this book because
Yeah.
it's definitely like there's a thriller element to it for me, like of, what's going to
Absolutely.
happen next. It's definitely a
Yeah.
page turner, I'll say. It
Oh,
definitely, like,
nice.
for me, there's definitely like I get that little bit of anxiety.
Oh,
Like
good.
the
Cool.
Nice.
like this. I get like this. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I started thinking, like, what if it was me in this situation?
Right.
Or, it's that adrenaline pump with that anxiety you get. For me, at least from what I've seen. And that's all going to be in the book, that preview that, that's all going to be in there. So yeah, you people like, oh, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Yeah, I had the same reaction
Yeah.
when I
Oh,
read the script, though.
and we
Oh my
go ahead,
God,
Anthony. Go ahead.
no, I shouldn't have read it.
What you did, Kayla, when you went, that's exactly what I did when I read it.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. I just like, all right, I
No,
have to think
that's
about what else to say without spoiling this book because
I think that's the best reaction we've gotten. So thank you.
it's a real reaction. Look at me, I'm perplexed because this needs to be everyone should be backing this. It's
And it's
get
84
on backing
pages of
this.
that reaction. So
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is me giving you that reaction. So what does that say? Oh,
Another thing
and
to add, another thing that I want to add, that my wife provided to the story was she told me, she said, think of it like, she said, approach it like this, approach it like a mother bear having to protect her cubs. The mother bear will become a monster to protect the cubs.
mhm.
And that was the driving force when I developed the script. And I was a little nervous about it because I sent the entire script to Anthony to look over because obviously it's best to always get the feedback from someone outside of yourself when you write a story like this. And the whole time when I sent it to him, the days I was like waiting for his response, I was like, oh my God, he's gonna tell me it sucks, and I have to like rewrite the whole thing.
no.
But he came back to me, he was like, dude, this is great. Like, this is like, I was on the edge of my seat. I liked how you approached it. I like that you how she pretty much gets to her liberation, and it went smoothly. So I was like, all right, perfect, we got something here. And I think you guys are going to be people who back this
They're
are
going
going
to
to
be
be pleasantly
surprised. They're
surprised.
going to be
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
surprised by it. I mean, I definitely was. I was like, this is not what I expected it to be, but in a good way.
Oh, neat.
Nice.
Like I said, in a
Nice.
good way. This is not, I want to say too, Anthony, this was a different kind of art style I saw from you.
Yeah,
Like
I
just
was.
very different, very different from what I saw like in your campaign that I had backed. So
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like you're very versatile artist. Like I
Oh,
could see it
thanks.
with, it's very different. And I just want to comment like this panel here, like look how ominous this is. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, Anthony, go on. I cut you
No,
off,
no,
but
that's okay.
it's
No,
it's a
no.
very different art style from you. Um,
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna add like I was talking a lot about fantasy art and stuff before, and that's kind of my bread and butter, and those are the pages I submitted to Julius. So when I read the script, I was like, oh no, I don't know if I'm the right person for this story. I loved the story, and so I said okay because even though it wasn't fantasy, like I knew, uh, I liked the fact that it was one setting throughout. I liked the simplicity of the getting from point A to point B. I like that kind of plot. Um, Julius had mentioned in the script many times, like we're gonna use this setting as a maze factor, and you want people to feel like they're trapped in a maze. And I like that. I like those
mm,
kinds of visuals. I like the
Hmm.
idea of using a lot of shadow in the artwork. So like, even though it wasn't fantasy, it was a lot of the elements that I like in my work that I like to produce.
mm.
So I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. It's not something I'm used to. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but and to be like this is my first comic too, and I wouldn't have thought that this is
This
the
is your
type of
first
story.
comic,
Yeah,
really? Like you,
yeah.
wow.
So I was, it was a little bit of a little bit of a leap. And I'm not gonna lie, like it's been a struggle. Like I've had to stop a few times and like actually do some scenery studies and setting studies and everything just to get certain things right. Um, it's very difficult to draw the inside of a box. So thanks for that, Julius. Um,
I'm
it's
all
like
about challenging the artist, man. I'm all
how the
about that.
fuck do I keep drawing the inside of a dark box? I'm like, oh,
I love that you guys, I'm a big fan of just black and white.
of what? Sorry.
Just black and white artwork,
Oh yeah,
like
me
comics
too.
that are just line art or just, ju- I'm a big fan of just black and white. So I love
Yeah,
that this
we
story is
we
in this.
Awesome.
we went back and forth with that. We were at first we were gonna do it in color, and as we went back and forth about that, we both concluded, you know what, it might be the best bet to just keep it in black and white, just because of the how heavy the story is, how dark it is,
Mm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it keeps it'll keep the aesthetic, because I'm all about creating an experience for the reader. I want the reader to experience my the stories I write, because that's what I loved about Alan Moore's work, because you got lost reading Alan Moore book. At least for me, I got lost reading Alan Moore book in that world, and outside of those pages, it was like I was lost in that world, and that's what I want to do with this book. I want readers to lose themselves in this world, and I believe that they will, because once the action starts, it doesn't stop for like how many pages, Anthony? Like what, 40
Oh,
pages
40,
nonstop
50?
action?
No,
50 pages.
this mofo.
50 pages of just nonstop action, and once it starts, it doesn't let up. It never stops until
It's,
there's a
Well,
little
you
few
know
little
what?
breather scenes.
You're
What was that?
great with the action stuff, I want to say. You
Oh, thank you.
personally, I mean, and that's what it was that when I saw that I missed Ghetto Dragon, I was like, how did I miss a book like this?
Well, you'll get a second chance when
Got to
you
do the second
if I did.
chance
Yeah.
campaign when you do that. You can come on here for that too.
maybe
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's
But
funny you mentioned action. I actually was studying Frank Miller for the action, um, and Peter David was another person I looked at, I referenced for
really,
action. Oh yeah, yeah. Peter David is one of my favorite. I think he's another underrated writer in my opinion in terms of comics. I loved what was that book he did? Oh gosh, it was for Dark Horse. I want to say Spy Boy. Was it Spy Boy? It was like a manga-ish look. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the book now. It's been so long.
Oh, Anthony's look. I love how Anthony's looking it up.
It's
Spy Boy.
Peter
It's
Spy
fine.
Boy. Spy Boy was one of my favorite comic book series that he wrote because the action in that book was was superb and well done that it really did play a major factor in my own writing when it comes to writing action in comics. And so yeah, his shout out to Peter David because he was a big major influence on that. So it was
Oh.
Frank Miller and Peter David that played a role in my influence in my approach to action in comics.
That's really interesting to know. I wouldn't have thought Peter David, to be honest with you. I would not have. That's why I was like, huh? My brain kind of froze there. GJ just basically put a comment in the chat here that I was going to say. But the eyes in the lower panel here, yeah, I like the eyes in that lower panel. You can definitely feel what's happening. That's kind of the
thanks.
tone in this book. You can feel the things that are happening. That's why I'm saying there's that.
Good.
I got that like this reading it. So that almost reminds me of like something from like James O'Barr, The Crow. I don't know why that last panel.
Creepy.
Is it the mascara that's running down her cheek?
I don't know
Is
what
that
it
emo
is.
makeup?
That and the black and it's that and probably just the black and white.
Mm.
be
And
honest.
again, that's why I chose Anthony because I like that he was able to bring that to the table. When I saw his samples, I was like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that. Like you mentioned, the eyes. So I feel what's happening on the page, and that's what I wanted to bring for this story. And you know, Anthony, you know, thank God for Geronimo, because
this art style.
Gambino, not
this-
Geronimo. My God, you people.
no, Geronimo.
I know,
who
I'm kidding.
gave
I'm
you
kidding,
the
I'm kidding.
But you know,
Okay.
this art style in this project, it kind of reminds me, and I know it's going to sound really weird. It reminds me of like part newspaper, part pulpy, part horror. Like,
Nice.
and that's kind of, it's like all of it combined together. It's kind of its own like little genre. Like I don't know how to explain it other than it just reminds me of if you took all three of those things and threw together with like that a little bit of a noir aspect, I would say it's this.
That's a pretty great
Like-
description. I'll take it.
I don't know how else to describe it. How would you describe your art style for this project?
Oh, jeez. I mean, kind of the same thing. I've been like on Twitter. I've been saying it's an action-packed noir thriller. It's a survival story. So we're trying to evoke that. But I always like describing my artwork as dramatic. Like that's one thing I say a lot, or I have said a lot in the past. And like I think I wrote about it in the little blurb of my sketchbook. Like I realized early on that I like getting a reaction out of people. So
This is going to give people a reaction.
exactly. So I like drama. I like tension. That's why I love the idea of keeping it black and white, and I love the tone of the story because there's so much room for so much drama and tension and anxiety. Like if I can induce someone with some anxiety, I've done my job.
Thanks for that.
No problem. Thank you.
Both of you. Thanks for that.
Yeah, as you can see, like the like your body language in your panels, the way you
shadowing.
draw the characters, the shadows, the facial expressions. That's what I always look for whenever I want to work with an artist. If you don't have that, then I typically won't. I guess
look at
contact you
this.
back. You know, but yeah,
Look
see,
at
look
this
that.
right here. Okay. I love this panel.
Oh, cool. Thank you. That was one of the more recent ones that I went back and redrew right before we launched the
I love this.
Thank
I
you.
love basically like these little white highlights here. And is that the hair? Her hair?
Yeah.
I love the look on look at the like the bones in the hands. Look at like the look on the face there, the cracks in the lips, just like the shadowing over one of the eyes. Like I could go on.
Oh, thank you.
I love that. Just that is the look of I don't want to die to me. Like I have to do something. I have to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a bit of fear and determination and kind of like I try not to swear on my interview thing, but that's
Oh,
like
sorry.
a what the fuck? Like what the fuck? Like what like
Yeah, what I
That
was I was
this
gonna
here
say
was
it's
like
like
crazy. Like I love
determined
this.
determined desperation is kind of
there you go.
what that is.
Yeah. Well, desperation will make you do a lot of crazy things, you know?
Exactly.
Well, you got to think too. What I think that's in this book, there is that fight or flight. You know,
Oh,
what kind of
100%.
person are you?
Yeah, exactly. And see, and again, to give credit to my wife, that panel was her contribution to
The
what she told me about
She your
Yeah.
her
editor?
approach. Huh? What's that?
Is she your editor for this project?
No, she's not my editor, but she's
She
my
should be.
muse. She's more of my muse than anything.
She should
But
be
yeah,
some,
she's the one that
doing
that,
some
that told me
editing
like
there.
she has to like she because she told me like she has to what was it deadly strikes. That's what she told me. They have to be deadly strikes. So that's
Mhm.
why the kick to the throat, because that would knock anyone down. A clean
Oh,
kick to
yeah.
the throat,
Kick
and
to the
you're
throat.
done. Like
especially a male with the Adam.
yeah,
Adam's
with the Adam's
apple?
apple, exactly. So yeah, I love this
Definitely.
sequence. This page is one of my favorite pages.
Probably
Like
the next
this?
one.
This is something I could see myself doing if something happened to me with the flashlight. Definitely. Like,
Also a redraw panel.
really, that was a redraw panel too?
Yeah, I'll show you the original.
Yeah, that was a
I mean,
great.
this is just like this whole thing here, you know, like how his clothes, like the clothes and everything, and just that's horrifying to me, you know.
That's all Julius.
Yeah, that was it was funny because when Anthony and I started talking about the project first, the first thing he told me was like nothing. I don't want to do anything that involves. I don't want to say the word because of the algorithm. I know YouTube is very sensitive. The R word,
Yeah,
the R word,
the
and I
essay
said,
word. We'll just say
and
essay.
I was like,
Mhm.
well, I mean, there's not that, but there is something that's leading to it. Is that
The
all right? And he was like, all right,
intention.
that's fine. Yeah,
The intention. You know,
the
but you
intention.
know
Yeah,
what? It's interesting too to see blood spatter as white. Like that. Because that's blood spatter, correct?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that's blood
From
spatter,
her breaking
sure.
that flashlight over his face. And you know what? When you hit someone in the face, you really do bleed a lot. Like the forehead and stuff. Like if you get
Oh,
cut
yeah.
on your face, you're gonna bleed a lot.
Yep.
A lot,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah,
I know,
a
very
little bit.
random.
She's well,
like
you got
this.
the 18 pages, so you've seen more of that.
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen a lot,
Yeah,
but I can't really. I'm not going to talk about those 18 pages.
no.
You could
'Cause I'll
talk
ruin
about
it.
you could talk about your favorite page of those 18 pages. How about that?
I would have to open it up and like I would want to pull it up, and I can't open it here. I would have to dig. I gotta dig through my I would have to dig through my Google Doc on my phone. Hold on, or I might have to because I didn't save the down. I had to download it, and I
Don't
didn't.
go crazy.
Oh, okay.
Don't go
I feel like
crazy.
I want to find the page now. I'm like, because I feel like I was asked to, so I feel like I have to. I feel pressure.
Oh, you
It's
don't
your
have to.
show.
If it's too much work, you don't have to do it.
I want to focus on this right here. Hold on. I'm gonna try to pull it up on my phone. If I didn't save the download, so let me go. I gotta go into Twitter on my phone now and go back to the message you sent me and go up.
Julius, see what you started.
See, all right.
I'm sorry.
I love
I'm excited
this
now.
here
I'm
too.
excited now because she gave me
Oh, I
us
want to
a
find
good
it.
reaction. You know.
I definitely want to find it. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can re-download this off the Google Drive.
No problem. I'm gonna talk while you look.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna.
I'm gonna pull this up right here. Absolutely. You guys
Nice.
are here to talk. It's not about me. It's about you
Why is this-
guys.
Does it look mirrored on your end, or is it just my StreamYard?
I think it's your StreamYard. It looks
Okay,
good.
cool. Okay,
my
good,
end.
good.
So
So
I guess you could take
I
mirroring off of StreamYard. I just found out today.
Yeah,
oh,
you can.
I'll
So
do
I
that
took it
later.
off on my
But no,
end.
you're fine. You're fine, Anthony.
All
On
right.
Yes,
your
you're
end,
fine.
that's all I care about, as long as it looks good on your end.
Download.
So I got these free previews
Can't
printed.
see it.
I'm gonna bring them to Plastic City
PDF.
Comic Con this weekend, and for people who
Nice.
haven't seen the campaign or anything, I'll be passing them out. They're completely free, so they're gonna be on the table. Just grab one and go. And it is essentially this 8-page preview that's on the campaign, but we got it printed, so you get to see what it'll look like.
Looks lovely too on
in
printed page.
on paper. It's pretty cool. And then, more specifically for the people who haven't seen the campaign yet, I've got. Let me see if I can do this here.
I'm downloading. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
That's all
I
right.
completely.
So
was
I
out
get
of
an
frame.
autographed one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hold on. I don't know if anyone saw that.
Spencer, can you switch the screen around or make no, I'm gonna make you
Where
full
is it?
screen. Spencer, I need Gambino
what I'm
full
doing.
screen. Pronto. I wonder if he went outside to smoke a cigarette. I know he's back and I know he's back in boarding. Spencer, full screen time.
Spenceley, please.
There we
Oh,
go.
that
No,
me?
no, no,
There
no,
we
no,
go.
no. I need Gambino full screen. There we
There you
go.
go. There he is.
All right. So there's a little QR code on the bottom. I don't know if this is going to show on screen. Oh, I feel challenged. Ooh. There we go.
There it is.
So you scan the code, and it'll take you right to the campaign on your phone.
That's awesome.
Right there. So there's a little
Sick.
one on the front, and then if people miss that, there's a big one you can't miss on the back. So these are going to be free. I have a bunch of them that I'll be handing out to people at the convention. And then whatever we don't hand out, they're going to be going to the local comic shops in my area. So hopefully,
Oh,
get
you
more
want to
people.
hand some to me? I can bring some to some local comic shops in my area.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Thank you. There
I
you
get
go.
two.
Yeah, thank you
I
for
can
that.
drop off too. Absolutely. If
Oh, awesome.
you know,
Thank
it's
you.
always an option. If you have the stuff and you want to give it out, you want to put it in the shops to give yourself
yeah.
more exposure. Absolutely. I will always take anything.
That's awesome.
Because
Thank
I
you.
will bring it into the shop. I have to bring the alternate order anyway. So maybe I'll wait to bring the alternate order to Monday and I'll bring your stuff with it. Sound good?
So cool.
Sound like
Yeah.
a deal?
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Because
Kayla. I
All right,
appreciate
we're not going to
Take
put
me off
books
full
out
screen.
until Wednesday anyways. Oh, now you're demanding Spencer what to do. Let's say
Yeah,
Spencer.
I'm talking to myself here. It's weird.
So I can tell. I know one
I do
thing.
enough
I'm
of that.
still
Thanks.
I'm still uploading. I wanted to just give the page. Can I say what's on the page? I wanted to give the page
Sure.
number. I'm still uploading. I don't know the page number. So there was something really cool and unique that was in it for me, at least. I'm literally still uploading. I'm on page 5 right now. That's like uploading on my phone. There was a
I'm
blueprint. There was a blueprint in
Oh.
it.
Nice.
And that was
That's all
one of my
Anthony.
favorite pages. And I think it was one of the pages at the end, or it was the last page, but I can't remember because it was like 19 or 18 pages you sent me.
It's page 11.
Is
Yeah.
it page
I rem-
11, the
It
blueprint?
is
Yeah.
page 11, yeah.
Yep.
I thought that was really cool. And I even liked the page before that and a couple of the things in there because like just the perception, there was like this really cool like the depth perception in the one of the pages as well. Like it had to do with the blueprint. I
Nice.
need to
Thank
okay, I'm
you.
on page 8 right now. Hold on. It's going.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
all
so
Anthony. That was all Anthony
page
right there.
so I have a couple. So page 10,
Oh, cool.
page 11, the chapter 1,
Yeah.
that incident, well that it's bait and switch. I can say that, right? I
Yeah.
also liked there was 15 and I thought 18 was a very interesting concept. Just because I was trying to figure out like it like I can't say, but
Yeah, no.
it's something definitely to look at. It was 19 that I really liked too because the last it wasn't 18, it was 17. I'm talking about not 18, 17 and 19
Mm.
at the end. not 18. Now I loved where that just right there, that little action piece there on 19, right? That last panel was great. And I liked the very first panel. I liked too. I
Cool.
wanted to print
Thank
it
you.
and put it like this to see what was going where, you know, because I like to see where it's going to be when I turn the page, but I didn't print it
Right.
or anything. Like I said, I just
That's a
read it
good
on my
point.
phone.
Let me see. I can tell you
Um,
right now.
but there was a page, like, can I say what's at the top of it?
Sure. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
It says wake up. That was one of the interesting pages to me,
Ah,
just because
I'll tell you what the purpose behind that. It's supposed to be kind of
I
meta
was like,
in a way.
I was like, okay, maybe this is like a dream. Maybe it's a drug. Maybe I don't know what, like, I was like, maybe this isn't the reality that I thought it was reading it.
Interesting.
Like, it made me
Uh,
question, like, okay. And then I'm like, you know, going back to, like, I don't know. It's probably
it,
different than what you thought someone how they were going to interpret it.
I see. I see. It was more of
It
a.
was
It was
making
through.
me question because of
It
the pace of everything.
it's a POV shot. That's what it's supposed to be, a POV shot of the I guess I guess we'll say it, the baddie.
Okay.
That's what it was.
All right.
But it, you know, to tell you, to, you know, since you mentioned it, it was, for me, that page was more like a kind of like a meta type of deal where it's symbolic of, like, you know, wake up to this horrific darkness that's really, like, you know, under our noses. Like you mentioned earlier, it's in every state, right? The problem that we're facing
Yes.
of this human trafficking, and it's one of those things, one of those issues that are have gone kind of ignored, because
Mhm.
just how tragic it is. And I know, and I realized that that's a subject matter that not many people are ready to face just yet, just because of the idea of how horrific it truly is. And that was my way of kind of saying, like, wake up to the reader, like, wake up, you got to open your eyes to this
Damn.
horrible situation that's going on. But at the same time, obviously, I don't want to preach to the to the reader. I still want the reader to enjoy the story as well.
I think the reader will enjoy it because it doesn't come across preachy to me. If it did, I would have told you.
Okay, good.
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 Thank
I'm
you.
glad.
It didn't, you know, like, obviously it's a real thing that happens in the world, but that's not how it appears in the, you know, it's
Yep.
not how it appears in the book. Like, it's a very real thing that happens. It's not preaching. It's not preaching at all.
Good. I'm glad.
Good.
I'm glad to hear
I
that.
wouldn't be like this if it was preaching me.
Right.
Right.
Well, good. That's what we're
Good.
hoping.
Yeah, because
I
that's
wouldn't have felt that kind of like raw emotion towards a story if I felt that the book was preaching to me.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, for
No, it
sure.
does.
For
It
It's
does.
sure.
not preachy. Not at
Good.
all.
Good.
Good job, buddy.
I'm glad. Yeah, that's one of my biggest fears as a writer is coming off preachy when I write
Oh, well, I would tell you straight
stories.
out. I would tell you straight out if that's how it seemed. It doesn't. Um, Obviously, though, you took inspiration from a real life situations that do go on.
Yeah.
Maybe someone out there does have a similar story. We don't know. This stuff is not talked about enough.
Right.
And that's the reality of it. So,
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do when I was developing the story, is I wanted to, um you know, as a writer, my journey as a writer has been the golden rule that I have for myself as a writer is, don't be afraid to research subject matter that's tough to research,
mhm.
because if you stop yourself from doing that, then you will never grow as a writer. You
No.
won't be well rounded as not just a writer but a human being, because, you know, that's when I researched into this stuff, it was just like a few years ago, I came across a documentary that led me to this road of research of human trafficking. And my wife will tell you, that after I researched this topic, I was in a depressed hole for like 2 months because
Oh,
the
Julius.
bubble that I was in burst after I researched this horrific, like what the dealings of human trafficking. You really have to dehumanize people involved in human trafficking. They dehumanize their victims in order for them to justify their actions. And so when I learned all this stuff, it was like it was one of those things where I had it was like a year to process, to be able to look back on it and actually write it down in a story called Vigilant Fury. And so
And you
I'm
did it.
hoping that, and I did it. Yeah,
Is the book already done, by the way?
No, we're
No.
about 25 pages in.
Yeah.
Okay. How many pages is this going to end up being?
84.
84? Really?
Yeah.
It's a chunky monkey. Yeah.
Oh my God. So
It's
I
intense.
didn't even touch nothing.
It was originally supposed to be 40 pages.
I didn't even
That was-
touch nothing.
That was the pitch I got. It's a
Sorry,
40-page book. Okay.
More work for you.
Oh,
You
now
can't
it's
complain
like
about
50.
hey, you can't complain about more work ever.
Now it's like 60. Oh, I'm trying to keep it at 70. Hey, here's
my goodness.
84. Okay.
Let's take a look at your
I'm not
perks
complaining
here.
at all. Yeah, you got. I
So-
don't want to keep you over time.
That's okay. I have a little bit more. So right here, like so these are your perks here. Which
Yeah,
perk
yeah.
is this? Let's see.
That's the featured perk.
This is a
that is
feature
a-
perk.
Commission bundle. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So you want to go over what this includes real quick?
Sure. Feature perk commission bundle includes one 9x12 commission, and one copy of the book, 6x9, and a few prints by other talented artists. So that's a really great deal because I usually
That is a
charge-
great deal.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
usually charge over 75 for just the commission. So we're kind of using this to see what people gravitate towards and
Yeah.
what sells well and what people want. And we're trying to use my services as much as possible because I know people like collecting original art, and we're trying to keep it as affordable as possible, especially during these times.
Yeah.
So that's the feature
This
perk
is-
9x12.
Very affordable campaign, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Very.
Then we
yeah.
have the graphic novel itself.
Mm-hmm. Digital.
$15
or-
for physical, $5
Yep.
for digital.
Yep. What else we got?
So this was something I wanted to talk about, and because the level 0 here.
Yeah.
So this is a companion book.
Yes. Do you wanna
So
just talk about it?
it's because I love the behind the scenes kind of stuff, and
Nice.
I
Good.
so if you can, I'll stay a little bit later. Then just
no,
a little bit.
Because you gotta. Don't you have
I
to
gotta
do
go.
something?
Yeah, I do have to pick her up, but it's okay. I have a
Well,
few
well,
minutes.
yeah,
But I
we'll-
want you
we'll
to
do
go
it.
go
I'll
on
go-
about this
Yeah,
companion book.
go for it. Go for it, Anthony.
Behind
Go
the
for
scenes.
it.
So I pitched it to Julius because I really love, as an artist, seeing all the behind the scenes stuff. I
That's
love
my favorite
going
thing.
to the back of a trade and seeing character designs and settings and all that stuff, process work, script samples.
concept art,
So,
everything.
yeah. This is all that. If you scroll like down more, I think it's in the add-ons where we talk more about the
Yeah, let me
companion
go.
book.
Let me go down. Hold on.
There's a few character
So this-
designs. That's about like 20% of the designs that are going to be in the book. I have
Let me
like
see.
20 something pages of just character designs. There's going to be thumbnails. There's going to be process shots of the thumbnails to the inks, so the pencils in between and everything. Reference photos of me tackling my wife for reference.
Are you serious?
Script. Yeah, no warning.
He's serious.
Yeah. I do it all the time. They make for great reference photos because it's pure reactions and movement.
Did you?
Script
I love
samples
that.
from Julius. Set
Yeah.
designs.
See,
find-
I love
find-
this stuff.
Yeah, so we technically could print the book in just thumbnails because I have thumbnails for every page. So we're going to
This
include a
is-
lot of that stuff. And this is a 48-page supplemental saddle stitch book. The 84-page graphic novel will be secret bound. There's my dog in that one on the bottom there.
I never noticed this when I looked at the campaign before I did.
Yeah.
I never noticed it was like a picture, like
You gotta do what you gotta. I have a coat hook in my studio with just like old shitty clothes that I use just for reference.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm
Really?
constantly taking goofy reference photos. The amount of times my wife has come home and I'm in my underwear doing weird shit is embarrassing. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to get the shot.
It's all for the craft.
It's all for
It's
the
all for the
craft.
craft,
It's all
Anthony.
for the craft.
This is a
So
very artist heavy campaign. We talked it over and we felt that readers, you know, as you know, on top of the book, getting the opportunity to get, you know, sketch cards drawn by Anthony and commission work by Anthony, we felt that perhaps readers would appreciate that. And on top of that, the prices, we felt that, you know, given the tough economic times we're facing today, we felt that perhaps the prices that we offered are more than fair and affordable. And you get a
I
chance
think
to
so.
own a piece of actual artwork from the book and commission work from Anthony himself. And on top of that, you get 80 pages of nonstop action, a great story, like you said, a survival story, a tale of a individual who, in order to beat the monsters that have taken her, she herself must become a monster. And that's essentially what the story is. The story is about the spirit of the female warrior having to go into full on freaking Super Saiyan mode throughout the whole story in order for her to survive, not just to save herself, but the other people in the container that are in the container with her. She has to think about those people, those kids too, because they're young victims. So there's a lot on her plate, and she steps up and faces it head on and does not let up. And I guarantee you guys, by the end of it, I'm gonna go on the limb and say by the end of it, you might end up with some tears in your eyes by the end of the story. That's all.
It's a
That's all.
safe bet.
The pitch.
So you're literally trying to make people cry on this
Oh
one.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, what kind of a writer would I be if I didn't want to make people cry after reading my
Yeah.
stuff?
Yep.
In the good way too, not because of how terrible it is, but you know, actually feeling the emotional roller coaster. That's what I want when people when readers read this. I want them to kind of feel like they're on a roller coaster ride. The theme of the day.
A roller coaster ride. We're gonna ride the wave here. We're just gonna.
But
We all should have
that's
just did like a giant wave on stream like
yeah,
that. It would
yeah.
have been so cool. It would have been like in the early '90s, early 2000s again. You know, well, late '90s for me and early 2000s. You know, we used to do that in high school in the stands. You never used to do it in high school in the stands.
Wave.
They still do that at soccer games.
Yeah, they still do that. That's still a thing.
Do they? I don't watch soccer, so I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't really do it at football games, so
They do it in wrestling shows sometimes, live wrestling shows when they're bored. But Kayla, if you have to go, we don't want to keep you if you have to go.
well, I want to know, is there anything else that you want to add about this campaign? Because I'm here for you guys, so
Well, I'll say one more quick thing about one of the perks. We're offering something that we haven't really seen too much in other crowdfunding campaigns, and it is the logo bundle. So you get a copy of the book, the prints, but you can also essentially hire me to do a logo for your indie project if you
Take
if you need
advantage
one.
of it, guys.
interesting.
thought
That's this one right here. Is this it?
It
Am I on it?
It hasn't scrolled.
No,
Oh,
there you
we
go,
Yep,
right there.
There we go. That's
I
it.
was like,
That's it.
So I threw some examples in there. But yeah, if you need a logo done for your project and you also want to get the book and some prints, this is the one. But yeah, we didn't. We thought that since we're both pretty new, we want to use this campaign to really introduce people to us as creators. So we're focusing on the story and the art, and we're trying to translate that into the perks as well. So that's why it's very art heavy. We want people to enjoy the story. We want people to enjoy our partnership, our working together. So yeah, this is we're trying to use this as a solid introduction as possible.
Yeah.
and then you have like the original art bundle here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's finish going through these, and then I'm gonna take off. It's the original art bundle.
Yeah, so you got to
Are
pay.
you sure?
Yeah, you don't
super
have
quick.
to.
I just
Kayla.
want. I just want to.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just gonna run through
The
them real fast. The original art
you
bundle, the
If you
add-ons
like,
here. We have
if you like my
prints.
work, get the Gambino special because there's a bunch of stuff, and
there you go.
there's a bunch of stuff, and it probably won't ever be that cheap again.
I
Yeah.
definitely think like my top choice for this is like obviously what I would do. I would definitely add on the companion book with anything I get.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's
That's
available as an
like
add-on too.
so. Whatever you
Yeah.
get, add it on. All right, guys. This is, are you going for another 30 days? When is your
Yeah.
campaign ending?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
extending,
We're going
so
for
it'll
another 30
be
days. Yeah.
what, 36 technically. What do we have?
We have 6 days left.
Yeah, so it's 36 days.
And there's only 13 of these remaining for this
Yes.
level 3 commission bundle.
Yes.
So you guys got to get on it if you want it. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. So, and then where can everyone find you guys?
Gambino Studio on Twitter and Instagram.
Yep.
Julius.
You can find me at Lucid Comic on Twitter and a Lucid PRD on Instagram. And I have a YouTube channel called Julius Freeman Comics. And I've just recently opened my channel to interviews with fellow writers. So look out for those. The first interview that I'm going to drop is with B Rose. So look out for that interview. It was a great
Oh.
interview. Great dude. Very, very funny. I think you guys are going to laugh a lot during that interview because he's pretty great. So yeah, that's gonna be my first interview that I'm gonna drop, writer to writer interview.
That's awesome.
I'm excited.
Congratulations on this campaign, guys. This is awesome. This is unique.
Thank you.
And you'll be at Plastic City Comic-Con.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys.
47W if you guys are there. That's 47W.
So you can visit me and Spencer and
Come
visit
get a free copy.
Gambino.
Yes.
Look at that. All right, everybody. Back Vigilant Fury. I'm sorry. I'm like rushing to get out of here.
Go.
Back Vigilant Fury. Give them a follow. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys for coming out and watching the interview. All right. Have a good one. Until next week.